Ryan Dawson is a geopolitical analyst who joins us. So, Ryan Dawson, if Russia's claim that U.S. military is violating these safety protocols that were meant to prevent Russia and the U.S. Of having a clash with each other, then is the U.S. trying to provoke Russia into one since it keeps violating it?
First of all, the U.S. isn't supposed to be there at all. The Syrian government did not invite them there. The Russians were invited there by the head of state. The U.S. has been effectively supporting the annexation of Rojava by Kurdish factions in Syria, as well as giving covert support to ISIS Takfiri groups. There is no reason at all to be playing chicken in the air. What they're doing is they're activating their weapon systems as they get near Russian aircraft. And the protocols are there for a reason. If you're going to activate your weapon systems, and you're playing a very dangerous game of chicken, because eventually the Russians will activate their weapon systems if they think they're about to be shot at. Why would you do this? They're not doing this toward Syrian aircraft. And ISIS doesn't have an air force, unless you include Israel as their proxy air force. So why are they flexing like this and turning on their weapon systems to threaten the Russians? The only reason to do that is as a provocation to try and get things to escalate there.
Well, so they want to get military involved with Russia in Syria. What advantages would that have for the U.S. if that's one thing they want to achieve there?
Well, it wouldn't, but the regime that's in charge is pretty clueless about these kind of things. It may also be data collection. They flick on their weapons to see how quickly the Russians can respond, not only from the air, but from the ground in their defense grid, because the U.S. is planning on sending F-16s to Ukraine. And the defense systems in Syria, some of the S-2 and 300 systems, Pantsir, Bukhim-1, are the same that Russia uses. It's in Ukraine. And so this could be, and this is speculation, but a way to light up the grid and to see how fast the response times are, because they're not going to shoot down an American plane in Syria. They will shoot down an F-16 in Ukraine. And so they could be trying to gather data by doing this stunt. This happens right after they announced they were going to train pilots in Ukraine to fly F-16s.
When it comes to the reason why the U.S. is in Syria illegally, the explanation that they provide is they're fighting the Daesh terrorists. Now, based on the number of these terrorists, I think it doesn't exceed 1,000. I think it's around 800 or so. And the U.S. has been there for, I think, since the year 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And you mean to tell me that the so-called powerful U.S. Army cannot take care of 800 Daesh terrorists in a matter of 7 years?
Well, why are they in El Tanf? I mean, the ISIS is located in Afrin and around the cities of Idlib and a little bit in Manbij. But the U.S. is patrolling around Deir ez-Zor and El Tanf, the highways that connect Syria to their neighbors, right? Look, and why would you have something like a fighter jet against ground troops where you can't just bomb civilians? You can't use it anyway. So what is the purpose of the Air Force really being there? Is to protect the annexed land and resources that are being fleeced out of Syria. It's not to fight ISIS. And yeah, if the U.S. was really dedicated itself to actually go after 800 to 1,000 or even 2,000 terrorists, they could wipe them out pretty quickly. Step one would be stop giving them guns and money. But a lot of the non-lethal aid package that Obama procured, and then later some of the people in the Trump administration lied to him when he wanted to pull out of Syria. They just lied about the numbers. It's pretty clear for the rest of the world knows what the U.S. is really doing in Syria. They're squatting on the oil to break them economically because they could not win the war on the ground. And so they're trying this economic war of attrition. That's why the Israelis routinely shoot missiles at Damascus. It closes down commercial airliners. It costs millions of dollars to prep up defense systems to block these missiles. And it's money Syria doesn't have. But it's very interesting because Bashar al-Assad recognized the Donbass. He's one of the few countries that recognized their independence and was still accepted in the Arab League after that. But what are they saying now about Israel's airstrikes into Syria and the U.S. flicking on their weapons systems? Silence. If the Syrian allies don't move, the U.S. will continue to escalate. This needs to be settled now with negotiations and dialogue, not this dangerous game of air-on-air chicken.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Thank you. Ryan Dawson, the geopolitical analyst there. Thank you so much.